The Battlefield community is at war. Is the movement too fast? Is there going to be the dreaded skill-based matchmaking in the next game? Oh god. The discussion around this has actually prompted a response from David Serland, who is one of the lead producers on the new game, which shouldn't have been public because it was posted on the BF Labs Discord and then on Reddit. And also a response from the community manager, Kevin Johnson. So we're going to talk about this today. I haven't wrote a script, but I've got some things to look at and I'll show you. I'll put them on screen as well. So the skill-based matchmaking thing, that started when one of the data miners, so BF Labs has been having playtests and certain people have started digging in the game files and they found all sorts of stuff. And we've covered some of it already, but they posted recently that they found matchmaking logic in the game. And this had individual things in it like score per minute, win-loss ratio, kill-death ratio, input device, blah, 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 a load of stuff. That was then posted on Reddit, all that information, and immediately people jumped to the conclusion that the next game will have skill-based matchmaking. And you guys... This is so funny. You know how much of a hot topic this is, right? People have very strong opinions about this. So then there was a ton of posts like, SBMM equals no buy, I'm not buying the game if it has skill-based matchmaking, all this stuff. Absolute scenes. That led to this supposed message from David Serland in the BF Labs Discord that was immediately posted on Reddit. And he said the following, PSA, BF 2042 has SBMM according to this definition. This is what I tried to detail above yesterday. It has a factor of skill, it's used, but ping and time to game is the top priority. And in a 64-player game, our want is to spawn a server that starts as soon as possible. Thus, the skill factor is negligible in terms of sorting into servers. Also, with a party, that is more or less ignored. Just for clarity, saying SBMM is bad is not really useful. What you really want to say is heavy SBMM where skill separation is a priority is bad. But that doesn't make skill as a factor in matchmaking bad wholesale. On the contrary, we need a skill value to make balanced teams, no matter the ranges of skills total on a server. It wouldn't be fun if all high skill players ended up on the same team, would it? He continued, just to calm this down a tad, the fact a skill value is in the matchmaker, in parentheses, it's been there since we started being able to matchmake by the way, doesn't mean we're going with a heavy-handed SBMM solution. Quite the opposite. Battlefield is at its best when you play the all-out war modes with friends and different types of players. We do not want to limit that. Then he finishes off here. All of this is also true, skill being important for team balancing regardless of in which way you join the server. For reference, did you feel like the BF Labs playtests were heavy-handed SBMM? No, then we good. It's the same matchmaker and settings we'll use, with tweaks if we find any issues of course. So David Serland, as I mentioned, he's one of the lead producers on the game. Very influential developer at DICE. I think he's been there since BF2, maybe. Instrumental in actually turning around BF4. I think he worked on many of the other games in between there too. He quit and then he's come back for the new game. So he's responding to this, basically saying that everybody calm down. At the moment, it seems, what the data is related to is a team balancer. So it would seem that it's not forming lobbies based on player skill. What's happening is when everyone is in a match, as he says, as quickly as possible, it will then balance the teams. And it uses that skill factor, whatever that is, to put Johnny on team A and Howard the Duck on team B. So hopefully you get a more balanced game overall. And he says this has been in since they've been able to do matchmaking. So I think many of the Battlefield games before have had team balancers. I remember BF3 had it, but I think that was like a custom thing that server admins made. BF4 maybe official, maybe custom server admins, but BF1 I think definitely had a team balancer, as did BF5. And from my experience, I don't feel like there's COD style skill-based matchmaking in Battlefield. I've never felt that way about the game. I know for a fact that there's a new player pool, and DICE have talked about this in the past. It's just not that well known. If you're a new player, you'll get a few matches where you're, in theory, again, just playing against new players so you can learn the ropes, and then it will just put you in with everyone else. Whereas in Call of Duty, the skill-based matchmaking is insane, and they've got it dialed in. If you've played on the same COD account since Modern Warfare 19 and you've played all those other games since, they have almost 6 years of data on you, analytics about what kind of a player you are, and they will use that to put you into matches. And I'm going to show you roughly how this works. So COD released a 41-page document last year about how the skill-based matchmaking algorithm works in the game. There's a ton of graphs in it, information, and although they say ping is king, they've got like 8 other factors which actually build a lobby before you even start playing. The goal is to put you in a game with similar skilled players. If you play by yourself, whether that's in multiplayer or Warzone, it's very accurate and it will put you in a lobby of players who are basically clones of you. If you play in a party with bigger skill disparity, it won't work as well and it draws an average based on the skill. And it will pull in more players from either side of that average. I'll show you what I mean now. I've got the stupid graph here. So here on the bottom, we've got skill. And then we've got 0 to 100. 0 is the lowest skill you can be. 100 is the highest skill. You play a few games and it will figure out a number from 0 to 100. And here's all the players. We're going to draw a nice bell curve. It's terrible, but you get the idea. Here's all the COD players in the world. Here you've got the lowest skill COD players. And then in the middle, you've got the average COD players. That's where the majority of the players are. And then here at the far end on the right, you've got the elite COD players. And the way that skill-based matchmaking works is it will assign this value, as I mentioned, and then it's an active system that constantly updates and it segments the players. So let's say I'm a player who's got an average skill level, so I'm here somewhere, and I start searching for a game. It will let me play against people that are here and here. So like there's a big segment here, right? But it won't let me play against people that are here or here. And let's say I'm somebody who's here, like 98 skill value. That's going to segment there, and it's only going to let me play against people here, here, and maybe here if it takes too long to find a match. If I'm someone who's really low skill, like here, it will pull in players from like here, here, and here, and here maybe. That's the way it works. So you are basically in a segment of skill. That looks awful, but you get what I mean. So when you matchmake, you only have access to a certain pool of players who are similar skill to you. You get it, right? Like, let me know in the comments. You get how that works. This is in normal, casual matchmaking, by the way. I'm not talking about ranked here. This is you quick play. You click play, Warzone, multiplayer, even with your filters on, whatever. It's going to use this hidden skill rating and put you in a lobby. Now, in relation to parties, you can quite easily see how this breaks, right? So let's say I want to play Warzone and I've got a friend who barely ever plays and their skill rating is down here, say 10, 15. And then let's say you've got Barry here, who's kind of on the lower end of the average. And then you've got Brian, who's up here. And then you've got Peter, who's like an elite player. And it's going to take all these and find an average. Let's say that's right there. And then it's going to try and use that value to match, what is it, 150 players now in Warzone into a lobby. You can see this falls apart because in a squad, you've got vast differences in skill between the lowest skill player and the highest skill player. So that means that this guy, the high skill player, if he ends up in this lobby here, he's probably going to do really well. But there might be other squads who also have that guy who's in this lobby doing well to compete against. And this player here, if they're in this lobby, maybe they're not going to have a great time. But these guys in the middle, you know, they can pick up some of the slack and maybe help a little bit and get the dub in Warzone. But you see how this system kind of has difficulty when you've got skill disparity. If you're somebody who plays Warzone a lot and you've got a squad who are all in this high end of the graph here, let's say you've got 4 players here, the average is going to be here. So it's going to put you in a lobby with similar squads. So if you're a really sweaty squad, you're probably going to end up in sweaty lobbies that are just in this segment of the player base, and you'll wait longer for matches. If you've got a squad of mates who are all kind of average skill, you got 4 players here queuing for Warzone. I think this is arguably the best place to be for Warzone in terms of variety, because when you matchmake, it can pull from here, here. It's got the biggest pool of players to put in your lobby, so there'll be much more variety. And this should kind of feel like how COD used to be, where you click play and it will just make a game of whoever was clicking play at the same time. I could be wrong, but based on my experiences and based on the white paper they released, I feel like that's an accurate depiction for me of how the matchmaker works in COD. From playing solo, from playing in squads with skill disparity, and from playing in low skill and high skill squads. Why did I show you that? Well, I think that many Battlefield players are scared of this kind of COD SBMM system coming to Battlefield. They don't want that in Battlefield. And I agree with them too. I think if you had a system like that in BF where every 64 player game of Conquest had segmented player bases, where in each segment everybody was the same kind of player playing against clones of themselves, the core essence of what makes Battlefield fun and great falls apart, it goes away, it quickly ends up at the bottom of the hill. I think that in a game of Conquest on each team, you need a variety of different players who are playing in a variety of different playstyles. You need the support players who are going around, dropping medkits, dropping ammo bags. Maybe they're not the best fraggers, but they're there supporting the team. You need the engineers who aren't necessarily focusing on infantry. They're looking to take out vehicles. They're using rocket launchers. They're using s'mores. They're using stingers to take out or dissuade air vehicles, little birds, from constantly destroying your team. I think you need the sniper on the edge of the map who, if you manage to flank him, you could knife him and get his tags. I think you need the players who are going to throw some C4 on a Jeep and try 15 times to detonate a tank. On that 16th go, they get it. It's an amazing feeling. And you need the assault player who's just beaming people with an M16. And you need the medic who's going to revive all those players that have just been killed. And you need the guy who takes smokes instead of frag grenades so you can push objectives and capture the flags. You need the guy who's going to transport troops in the helicopter. You need the guy in the attack helicopter. You need the guy in the tank. All these different types of players and playstyles, that's what creates the awesome sandbox feeling in a Battlefield match. For me, Battlefield has never been a serious competitive game. If I'm in a round of Conquest or Breakthrough, I don't care if I win or lose. I care about having fun, the moment to moment. That's what I'm there for. Whether it's just messing about with mates with a soft lam and a javelin, or trying to shoot down a jet with a Renzook or something. I'm experimenting, I'm having a laugh. That's the essence of Battlefield for me. And if you start to game it and put it in this hyper-competitive setting where you just have sweaty McKay players playing with and against 63 sweaty McKay players, I don't think that's going to work. I'm all for having a new player pool. That's what they've had in the past. I think that works. If you're a new player, there should be a grace period. And I think many people would agree with me on this. There should be a grace period where you're playing with and against other new players, learning the game, improving your skills. After you hit a certain number of matches, you've been in the small pond, you're then thrown into the big sea with everyone else. And I do 100% agree with the team balancer too. I think once people are in a match that's been formed as quick as possible with the lowest ping, it's fair to have a team balancer, because if every match is an absolute stomp fest, you're not going to enjoy it, are you? If all the best players are on one team and every single round is a walkover, I don't think that's going to be fun. I feel like you're going to get bored quickly there. Yeah, every now and again you might get a match where your team gets completely destroyed, and then the next match you're the one that does the destroying, and then the next one is a really close game. The variety of each Battlefield match is what keeps me coming back and playing the game. And I think that's what sets it apart from other games like Call of Duty. I feel like if they're going to do some kind of competitive 5v5 mode in the new game, some kind of domination mode, Counter-Strike style mode, whatever, maybe there's an argument there in those specific game modes to have some kind of stricter skill-based matchmaking system. Especially if it's ranked play and there's rewards at the end, for example. But in Conquest, in Breakthrough, I would argue even in BR, in Battle Royale, I don't think it's needed. I don't think it's that serious. Video games are a toy. They're supposed to be picked up and played with. When you start turning everything into a ranked, hyper-competitive environment with hidden MMRs, hidden skill ratings, segmented player bases, the spirit of it just disappears for me. That's how it feels sometimes. And the other side to this, which I haven't mentioned at all yet, is server browser, because that gives players the choice to pick and choose where they want to go and play, subverting any kind of SBMM system that might hypothetically be in the game. Officially, we still don't know if there's going to be a server browser in the game. If there is it going to be part of Portal again, and is it going to be half-baked? To keep it simple, a lot of people just want it on the front page. You've got your quick play matchmaking, whatever the latest event is, Conquest Breakthrough, but then you also have a server browser option. You click on that, and it's got the official servers in, as well as community hosted servers. And it has official servers that are Conquest on every single map, and it just rotates through the map. So you can keep playing with the same people over and over again. You can pick what your ping is. You can pick which map you want to play, which game mode you want to play, and you're not beholden to some insane matchmaking system. Yes, I still see value in Portal, especially if they expand upon it, but they should let people rent servers again. They should let people have persistent servers and throw it all together in an official server list like we had in BF4. I don't see what the problem with that would be. There's filters there, so if people want to go into server browser and pick, they can do that. But if the average gamer just still has the option to click quick play and get into a match as quick as possible, cool, why not both? So maybe it would be nice to get some clarification on that too, because server browser is so important to the core Battlefield community. Official servers, rented servers, communities have the potential to grow, friendships have the potential to start, and it keeps the games going long after launch. I really hope that DICE are paying attention to that feedback, because there's so much of it. And finally, the other thing I mentioned, there was a post from Kevin Johnson. He's the community manager of Battlefield. It's quite a long post, and it was basically telling people, look, you're seeing a lot of stuff without context, a lot of stuff that's unfinished, and the purpose of BF Labs is that it's a testing environment. Things are very liable to change, and it's a different approach to making the game than they've had in the past, but they're kind of getting sick of the leaks and stuff now, so take the NDA seriously, basically. I think a lot of it has been handled really badly. It was bound to happen. I know there are people out there who are saying, oh, the leaks are on purpose, it's just marketing. But some of these videos, there's grey textures everywhere, glitches, stuff floating in the air, pink bushes, everything's unfinished. DICE don't want you to see the game looking like this. They want you to see a nice flashy 10-minute gameplay trailer when it's actually ready to be shown. I don't think the leaks are on purpose. As it turns out, the sentiment and the response so far I feel has been quite positive to the leaked gameplay videos. There are a few things like the movement. There's a hot debate right now, as I mentioned, where people are saying, oh, maybe the movement's a bit too fast and too arcadey. Battlefield has never been a milsim type game though, so I don't really get that feedback based on the videos that I've seen. It looks like BF3 and BF4, but you can slide now. And you've also got some of the movement options from BF5, like supine position, shooting from that position, hoisting yourself up over walls, crouch roll when you land, crouch run is there too. I don't see any evidence that they're going for COD style sliding and slide cancelling and all that stuff, so I don't know. And part of what Kevin Johnson was saying was kind of wait until it's finished. You know, because the version of the game that we're seeing in these leaks might be completely different to the one that we actually end up playing. They might completely change the movement. But yeah, I do think a lot of it's been handled badly. It was bound to leak. The leaks were left up for far too long. But ultimately, the purpose of BF Labs is, in theory, you get a better game when it comes out because it's been balance tested, bug tested, server performance, gameplay, features, all that stuff has been actually feedbacked on by a section of the community before it comes out. I'm sure they realize it's a sacrifice they've made here for the greater good. Perhaps though, for whatever reason, they didn't expect the level of leaks and data mining, but it was always a foregone conclusion. Hopefully it works out, we'll see. With that said, that's all for today, folks. Do let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. If you've watched all the way to the end, I know it's kind of been a bit waffly off the top of my head. You know, these videos, I don't do them that often, but hey, there it is. Drop me a like, guys, if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.